1 second here. And you should be up and running. Have a good meeting.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, welcome everyone to the Scituate Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee meeting. It is Tuesday, June 20th. It is 6:30 p.m. We continue to meet via remote participation. On March 29th, 2023, Governor Maura Healey signed into law a supplemental budget bill, which, among other things, extends the temporary provisions pertaining to the open meeting law to March 31st, 2025. Specifically, this further extension allows public bodies to continue holding meetings remotely without a quorum of the public body physically present at a meeting location, and to provide adequate and alternative access to remote meetings. This meeting will be recorded by Scituate Community Television and can be viewed live on Scituate Community Television Facebook Live. The recorded meeting will be available the following day on Comcast Channel 9 and YouTube Scituate Community Television. I will read our committee's commitment statement. This is a safe, secure space for all people, especially people of color, and for all underrepresented people and communities. This is a space where people can bring up challenges and questions without fear. We will assume best intentions, and we will treat one another with politeness and respect at all times. This committee is dedicated to these standards. We want our members and others joining our meeting to feel welcomed and respected. Okay, I would like to call the meeting to order. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Christina. I will call the roll. Reverend Stewart.
Yes.
Ms. Dre.
Yes.
Ms. Gilberti.
Yes.
Ms. Gulata.
Yes.
Ms. Risha.
Yes.
And I am a yes. Okay, great. All right, so excuse me. Let's launch right into it. Celia distributed the minutes. I had a couple of just minor spelling errors on some names. Other than that, I didn't have any other comments on the minutes. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to add? Okay. All right, well, I will then move to accept the minutes with the two names being whatever the word is, remedied, fixed, whatever.
Properly spelled.
That's all right. I'm sure Tony Vignani's had his name misspelled a few times in his life, as have I. All right, so with that, I would like to move to accept the minutes from March 24th. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. I'll call the roll. Reverend Stewart.
Yes. Sorry, Tom, who seconded?
Yes, sorry.
I did. Thanks.
Yeah. Ms. Dre.
Yes.
Ms. Gilberti.
Yes.
Ms. Gulata.
Yes.
And Ms. Risha.
Yes.
And I am a yes. So with that, so since Ruth stepped down, Celia has been our interim secretary. Now, absent anyone else raising their hand to be secretary, I would like to propose a rotation. What do we think about that? So we just kind of, can we do that, Maura?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right, so I would like to propose that, and
That feels fair.
Angela, we're going to do it by alphabetical order. So I'm sorry.
Good.
First name or last name?
Either way, she's got
Either
it.
way, I'm early in the alphabet. Well,
Yeah.
you know what? We should use my hyphenated name now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's true. That's true. All right. So with that, well, let's continue. Did we? Yeah, we accepted the minutes. Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead and do that. Let's just, yeah, it'll be alphabetical order, and we'll just kind of roll with it that way. Bear with me just 1 second.
And Tom, I've already started typing the ones for tonight, so I'll complete tonight's too.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. So Angela, you're on reprieve until July. Okay. All right. Where to start? So I guess, Maura, if we could just kind of lead off with you. I think you missed our last meeting. We did talk a little bit about, the election and so forth.
Okay.
Tony stepping down. You've got a new member of the select board. You are now the chair. What else comes to mind?
That is what I was going to update you on. I mean, we continue to just start the preliminary budgetary planning for the next fiscal year. Believe it or not, even though we just finished town meeting. So starting to do that, really just working on a lot of the water and sewer treatment issues, especially water. We're starting to put in the main line from the water treatment plant up through Route 3A this week. So that should start. So that's great too. So not too much really to report. We welcome Susan Harrison as our newest member, which is great. So you probably already spoke about that. We did reassign liaisons last week. I asked to keep this committee for my last year, so I will remain being the liaison for DEI, so I can close that out and pass the baton next year to somebody else. So hopefully you guys don't mind that. And I will continue to perform that duty. There are a lot of other meetings that I have, and a lot of our committees meet on Tuesdays. So I may not be here at every single one, but if I'm not, I'll try to find someone that may be able to attend in case I have to, jump in on one of those other meetings. But other than that, that's really the update. We're just preparing for summer, July 4th, and just moving along a lot. Really the summertime's a lot about road repairs, water lines, and whatnot, and then getting all that stuff moving with the good weather.
Got it. Sorry. Okay. All right, let's keep going. Jamil, what would you like to cover? Obviously, there was the Juneteenth celebration yesterday, which was fantastic, and other stuff.
Absolutely, I agree. Good to see people and smiling faces and things like that. Awesome. As Tom said, we had the second annual Juneteenth recognition event in the Gates Dining Commons. It's great for we had representation from all levels of the district. And a special thing that happened was that one of the folks that know Jermaine, he's an 8th grader, going to high school this year. He plays the piano. He plays baseball too. He injured his finger. So he couldn't play the piano yesterday, but he still came, and that just says a lot. He still wanted to be there for the event. So that was fantastic. Then we had an international, so I call a songstress singer as well. So got a lot of rave reviews about yesterday's journey. So thanks for everyone being there and making it happen. I think a special moment worth mentioning is that after the STEP team, some members of the STEP team and Marcavius did his thing as well. We had an impromptu formation of a Scituate public school STEP team, and Marcavius took them to the back and taught them a quick 4-piece step. And then they said, we're Scituate Public Schools, boom. It was fun, it was cute. And Ms. Rydell joined them. Other things that have happened, we had our Pride open mic take place last week. And that is the 3rd Pride open mic that has taken place. And so that was another just good display of community and folks just being together. And this happened on the heels of the GSA just electing the new president. Madam President is awesome. So you see a smiling person on the screen for good reason. I won't put you on the spot. Then it continues to be a space where people allow themselves to be vulnerable in a way where they feel valued and protected, and they share things like that. So we want to keep this going on. let's see. So it was community members that took part in it. There were students and caregivers and parents as well that were part of it. So it was great. Angela was there doing also. Yeah, Miss Angela do an awesome poem. No, I'm just playing. Angela do a poem. But Angela's daughter did do a poem. Dina did a great poem and made a fantastic impromptu speech as well about the importance of it. Then let's see. I won't be too long. We had, a lot of folks came through to the civics project event at the high school. That was like, for everyone on the page that didn't get to come to that, I encourage you to come to it next year if you hear about it. But it might even be worth, I know that a lot of the 8th graders are now in high school and things like that. Because it's 8th grade and 9th grade, mostly, I think if I'm getting this right.
And 10th.
And it is 10th, right? Okay, I had it in my head.
Yeah.
I didn't be wrong. I knew 8th and 9th definitely. Okay, I see my people saying yes. Okay, yeah, both yeah. And so I think it was just Tom and Angela. So, were other people there and I just missed you? Anyone else on the screen was there? Okay. So the quick version of this is that there's a civics project and students at an 8th, 9th, and 10th grades did projects connected to community, their specific communities, and they're into civics. And so some of the projects included folks, there was a project about the water at, I want to say 2 different student groups. They partnered up in groups of 2, 3, 4, something like that. And they did some projects on water. There was projects on LGBTQIA plus community. There are projects on, and so when you go there, there is a poster with information on it. And then there are a number of students, some scholars there that give a presentation. They try to limit it to about 5 minutes, and then you have 5 minutes to ask questions about it. But all of the presentations, like I said, I mentioned some of those. There was another one for folks who want to have even more pride displayed within the district. I don't know, Tom and Angela, what were some of the ones y'all went to? If y'all mind speaking, so I put you on the spot.
I primarily just went to my daughters. So,
I went to my grandson's. He did the brown water in Scituate.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. I saw Karen Canfield asking them questions. So I thought it was wonderful. I thought, the students all picked great topics, from, substance abuse to, the environment to, it was great. I was impressed.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, I walked around and I looked at a lot of them. I know a lot of the kids, just through friends of my daughter and kids that I've like coached in various sports, right? So I didn't want them to present to me because I didn't want to embarrass them, right? I had no problem embarrassing my daughter, but yeah, I was very impressed. I think the kids took it very seriously. The poster boards all looked fantastic, and they were touching on, some topics that can be pretty thorny.
Mm-hmm.
So I give the kids a lot of credit, and I give this town a lot of credit for taking them on.
I agree. I think
given the news cycle, and I mean, I'll say it. I quipped to my wife at one point. I'm like, look at that one. You think they'd get away with that in Florida?
I mean, and let's just know that the students, they're in tune with some of the very topics that come across here on this screen. They on it as well. So if we can, I mean, it really would be great for folks to come on out if they do. I'm hoping it happens again next year. It was really powerful. All of the posters and the information. What I can see is I try to walk past as many of them as possible, but each got assigned 4. But you can, they were next to each other in close quarters, and so. But it was really good. It was powerful to hear the students, the scholars, take on things and their ideas and suggestions for solving some of the issues and things like that. So I'm hoping that a lot of them come to fruition and do happen. I know I've offered a couple of people made the offer to work with groups right away from that meeting. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully some of those things do come to fruition. And then another thing, I'll let my partner, my friend Reverend Stewart, get at that a little bit later. We could talk about our little business that we introduced to folks. And that would be it for right now. Today was the last half day of formal instruction. So folks were happy and some folks were sad. You know, so, but folks taking a breather, taking a little breath. And thank you all for contributing to the year and making it what it was. The ebbs and flows of it all led to a fantastic journey in a number of ways, and always learning. So thank you all for that.
Thanks, Jamil. Just real quick, back to that civics project. Seth, because he's everywhere. There is a 5-minute video, I think. I don't know how long it is. I think it's like 5 or 6 minutes out on Facebook, on the Scituate Community Television. So, and you get a flavor of what the projects were, and he interviewed some of the students. So, if you want to take a look at it.
Hey, Tom, can I ask Jamil a question? Or
Yeah,
a favor? So what was great was everybody on the select board was invited to the civics initiative. Unfortunately, I was out of town, so the two Karens were able to attend. Can you take a role in ensuring that at least communication on a lot of these other special events that you host get over to the select board office so that we can get it on our calendars? Because it would be great to have greater representation. And anytime that I can go, I will go. When it doesn't conflict with my work, or even if it does conflict with my work and I can get out of it, I will. But a lot of the other events that you spoke about, no idea they were taking place. So it would be really, really helpful if we can get on some sort of invite list. And that goes with Pride as well. Like, we didn't have any advance notice on the Pride parade. So, you know, I already had things booked, because you never know in June when you're going to do it, right? You might do the first weekend, the second weekend. So just things like that, because I know it's really important to have leadership representation, and we want to be there. So if we can be advised, it would be really, really helpful. And I'm not putting that on you. I'm just saying, thank you if you can help us do that and get the message out.
I know that Celia wanted that as another additional job on her table, along with taking notes and stuff. So now we can do that. It's not a problem. I mean, some folks came through. I think, you know what, I may have been under the impression that folks are already on the peach jar thing.
Yeah, we're not.
They're not. Okay.
I'm not a school parent.
You have
so
to have kids in
Ah,
school.
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All
Yeah.
right. So no, that's an easy, that's low hanging fruit right there. Absolutely.
Thank
We usually get peach jar, and the principals put it on their newsletters, and it might end up on the app. And then there's the library, but we can add y'all to. So what's the best way to do that though? Like, is there like an all town hall something, or I mean, I don't know how to.
I don't know that you need to do that, but maybe just throw Lorraine Devon on there. She's our administrative assistant and keeps track of all things. That might be the best way. Or you can just add each of the select board member names, and they'll just get it directly and manage their schedules accordingly. Yeah, whichever works best.
You know, that's
You
easy.
can send it to me and I'll forward it out. It's just, we just don't get a lot of advance notice on those things. And I know several members would love to attend.
Okay, no problem. We want you there. Is Devin Devin?
Yes,
And Lorraine Lorraine?
I'll send it to you. Yeah, I'll get it to you. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Thank you.
Mhm.
One thing that I did want to circle back, excuse me, from last month's meeting, you know, we'll recall the swastika that appeared on the roof, right? And the vandalism and so forth. I believe the house was on Hatherley Road, and we talked in the meeting about how, you know, the police department, I believe, issued, I think we did receive an email, right? You guys have to check me on this.
Yeah, they have the different notices.
And so, and then the town, right? So the town administrator, select board, whoever it came from, also issued a statement, but it was on Facebook only. And we were talking that it would have been a much better mechanism for it to be on the town email that has whatever 4,000 people signed up for it.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't realize they didn't send it out in an email blast.
Yeah, it didn't.
Okay. No, I think that's a great observation, as well as we probably should have made a statement much quicker. So I think we're a little slow on that, waiting for the police to do a little of their due diligence, but we certainly should have made a stronger comment sooner. Agreed.
Okay. Thanks.
So I'll cover that with Jim, just to make sure moving forward that it goes out in an entire town email blast as well.
Okay.
So Jamil, this might be a good time to jump in with our little update on our project.
Go for it. Yeah.
So the Scituate Freedom Team, in response to that incident of hate, has started a campaign. And so we've got these little magnetic hearts that can go on your car, or there it is, on your mailbox. Thank you, Christina. And so they're around town and they're going more places. Right now, they're at the library, they're at Native down in the harbor, they're at the senior center, they're at St. Luke's, of course, and at the Unitarian Universalist Church and at the Methodist Church. I'm hoping tomorrow to get some to town hall, and I'm hoping also to get some anywhere else anyone can think of. I'm happy to. I know Jamil handed out a bunch at the Juneteenth yesterday, so that was a good way to get.
Hold it up again. What does it look like?
It's
What does it say?
it says Scituate is the love that hate can't stop.
Very nice.
So, I mean, they're free. We said if you give a donation, like $1 suggested to St. Luke's, Jamil and I will sort of roll that money forward into making some yard signs that we're hoping to get at the schools, and maybe the library and the senior center and some public places like that, to kind of keep that message out. So that's how any donations get used, will just be rolled into that. And St. Luke's was able, I just asked my parishioners if they would help fund this, and they just dug into their own pockets and paid for it. So, which is awesome. Very, very happy for that, because the town was sort of willing, but the red tape was hard. So, and we wanted to respond as quickly as we could to the situation. It obviously took a while to get the magnets made and all of that. So that was the biggest delay in the end, but yeah, so we're hoping this will be a good campaign to remind people that Scituate's a place of love and not a place for hate of any kind.
So are there donation jars when you get a magnet that you can leave a donation?
Yeah,
Or is it-
or you can just stop by St. Luke's and stick some money in, or
Okay.
send us some, whatever. Some places were willing to put up donation jars and some places weren't. So it depends on, like, the library can't do it, so there's not one there.
And can I ask if we're allowed to know at this point, but is the investigation itself still ongoing by Scituate PD?
As far as I'm aware, it is.
Thank you.
And the response at the Juneteenth event to the magnets was very, very positive. Like,
Oh yeah.
it was
Everybody's walking around with them.
yeah. So you may see some on cars, you may see more refrigerators, things like that. So just getting started. Don't forget, it was in this group that folks had the idea of it evolving at some point to having other shades of it created as well, including having a student create an art version of it as well. So planning on following up on all of that.
Excellent. Okay, so from other groups, I mean, I know Reverend Stewart, we talked before the cameras got rolling about the Pride Parade. If you want to just give a quick recap, that'd be great.
Yeah, sorry. So I didn't run the Pride Parade this year. Scituate Pride leadership did that. But we hosted the breakfast. St. Luke's hosted the breakfast beforehand, which we did last year to a great success. So we advertised out the breakfast, and I'm not sure that the Pride Parade itself was advertised very widely. There definitely, we had about half the people we had last year, so that was still a great turnout. So don't want to sound like a downer, but also not as great as last year. So we had a speaker at St. Luke's who spoke and did a great job. And then we joined the parade as they started at Gates Middle School, and we joined the parade as they went by, and went to the Common, and Nikki Sanders-Smead spoke there for a bit. And that was the whole event. So yeah, so I think it could have been better advertised, in my opinion, from both ends, and more. I definitely made a note of like making sure we include the select board, because Karen was there, which was great. But she said to me that she didn't know about it ahead of time. So that was good to note that, and to make sure that this group and the Freedom Team also get more of a personal invite,
Thank you.
at least to our breakfast. So there seems to be a lot of good energy around Pride. I will say that, like, as we were walking down the street, people are honking and waving at us, and, you know, genuinely seemed pretty happy that we were there doing it. So I think that's good, and a lot of great energy to do more if it's possible around that event. So maybe next year we'll see some other things popping up around town around Pride Month. And I know some of you were there because I saw you.
I think Jamila has a comment.
Jamil?
I just had like, maybe, did I miss it in our notes? Like, I didn't know you were running that.
I was just doing the breakfast. I did not run the parade. It was separate. Yeah,
I mean,
they're officially two separate events. Last year I ended up running both in a weird twist of fate, not because I should have been.
I say that only because I think between the first summer for me, which would have been 1, 2, 3 summers ago, I get confused, it's on my second year, full year, but 3 summers ago to now, I think that first year was like this, it was a synergy between the town and the school and other folks. They were just working together kind of thing. And not that the folks aren't working together, it was just, I don't know, there was something that was like, it's a million things going on, and I think folks kind of missed each other kind of deal. Not that there was any issue. I know last year there was some problem somewhere, something like that. But I think this year it feels like there was a lot of things happening, and June just kind of crept up on people really quickly. And so probably what we can do is get together like in, I don't know, February and try to get to your point and just get everybody on the same page and vibing with it, so that because none of them were bad events, but folks saying, you know, weren't as large as the previous, so we can absolutely get there. That was one of the points that Dina had shared at the open mic, because it's absolutely love there and people want to do it, so we can do it. That's it. I just wanted to add on to what you had already mentioned.
Yeah, and I think there's plenty of capacity in this town to do both a big thing for Pride and a big thing for Juneteenth. I think that people will show up. They're very different sorts of events in a way, right? And also, like, there's energy for both of those things. So I think as long as we make sure, like, that we're not having the Pride Parade the day before Juneteenth or whatever, you know, they're not on the same weekend. I think we can easily make that happen in town. So.
Okay. All right. I don't see anyone here for public comment. Let's get over to in-flight opportunities and projects. Because there were some emails flying around about it, I'd like to actually lead off with, and I'm gonna put you on the spot more because we created some emails and sent a note to Craig Diaz about, I think last month was the first time I brought it up. Maybe I talked about it in the previous meeting as well, but I've been having conversations with Craig Diaz about Greenbush, and I've had separate conversations with Angela and Tony Vignani when he was still on the select board, just because I'm kind of friends with him outside this capacity. And Maura, I know you have an update as well, specific to, and my conversations with Craig have been wide ranging, right? Everything from safety issues in Greenbush to environmental justice, sidewalks, et cetera, et cetera. But the sidewalk piece, Maura, if you could just kind of update us.
Sure. So after Craig and the community, I think, brought it to everyone's attention, God, it was probably a year and a half ago, I got to imagine. I don't even think it was last summer. Stockbridge was prioritized, but we are applying for a grant. There's only so much money out there. So they are on the list for us to apply to a grant to the state. It's called Complete Streets, which we do apply to get funding from the state to help us with sidewalk remediation and improvements, and also just to add where they aren't. So that when that cycle comes up, I don't know when it is, if it's in the next upcoming months, the Stockbridge project is going to be submitted for funding for that. So that is the latest update I have with regards to the sidewalk. So that should be allow us to be able to complete from where it stops to bring it all the way down the end towards the Greenbush area.
So we just don't know, we don't know the timing.
I don't know the timing yet. No, I don't know when they release that. I can double check on a general, it's new administration as well. So I think there are a lot of changes going on at the state with regards to who runs what. So things may be a little bit delayed as with regards to how those things get out in front of us. So I don't have, Jim didn't even have timing either in regards to it. I just wanted to look at the chat. There's a chat. Okay. You shared the Complete Streets. Thank you.
Yeah. So, and I forgot, I forget if I forwarded the email to the whole committee, but Maura basically gave me the words, and I sent the email to Craig, and with a link to the Complete Streets that I just shared here. And I mean, he appreciates the updates. I know that, and he's not on right now, but I would almost guarantee that he's gonna watch this meeting. So because he's definitely interested in that. I'm not sure, in terms of our purview, what else we can do for him. I know that he's had a lot of conversations with environmental lawyers and all kinds of other people about the land itself, and the former Stockbridge land dump and so on and so forth. But he is pushing along the lines of environmental justice, and there is an office, and I think Governor Healy's administration that accounts for that. But I'm not sure that what else we can do, at least at this point. But I appreciate you getting the update on the sidewalks, because I do think I mean, if anyone's driven, you can see, you get off the Greenbush line, and if you happen to live in that area, Stockbridge Road, there are no sidewalks, right? And people go flying around that corner. And I know there have been some issues there in the past.
Yeah, and the whole issue with the older landfill that's there, I mean, that's from the 1970s, which the DEP
Right.
is, highly engaged with him. So I think as a committee, you can continue to be an advocate, but I don't think there's a lot more that you can do, because it's really, in the hands of the DEP at this point, in evaluating the complaint, and they communicate directly with him as well.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Anyone have anything else to add on that topic? Yes.
Yeah, Tom, not related to the mitigation or environmental issues, but I tried to read through that presentation. And another alternative to a recreational or park area was land owned by the Diaz family. But then I didn't see anything else about it in the presentation. So I don't know if that's still on the table, or what the process would be. Again, we would only be educating ourselves about it to advocate in the best way, but I was just curious if we knew anything about where that stood, or even on the list of priorities where that is. I think I understand like sidewalks is priority number one, but just out of curiosity.
He did mention it to me when we spoke. It was over a month ago now, probably 6 weeks. He mentioned it at one point, I'm not sure if it's still on the table or not, at one point he was willing to, donate some of his land. I don't know how far up that went in the, Scituate hierarchy to make that recommendation. So thanks for bringing that up. I mean, I think one of the things you pointed out is that, you go through the different communities throughout Scituate, and yeah, there's playgrounds and strategic locations, right? But there isn't necessarily anything down there.
Yeah, Tom, I think I participated in one of the earlier meetings that they had with some of the folks in the Greenbush community, and the playgrounds did come up. And I think the committee, Concerned Citizens, was suggested to talk to the folks that created those other playgrounds, because I believe most of them were private donations. It wasn't really the town, and I don't know if all the playgrounds in Scituate or town created.
A lot of them are joint. Usually a local group will get together and then partially fund and submit for the balance to CPC. That's typically how you see the playgrounds unfold.
Yeah, so I think people were willing to share that information. So if another group wanted to be formed, to find the location and work, to create a playground in that area. So maybe we can follow up, with Craig to see, where that is. Do they need our assistance in getting that information? But I do see a lot of those things. I just saw one of the select board meetings, the monument that's being done for Navy SEAL, and how the family raised a lot of the funds. So I think, the playground is interesting, but again, it's understanding how to get it done. So anything that we can do to help the folks in that neighborhood move forward with that, I think we can, look into that.
Maura, you said the CPC?
Community Preservation Committee. So typically they will look for a sponsor. So for instance, the Purple Dinosaur is being submitted, I think is passed and is in the process of being rehabbed. But when I think about, when we did Cushing, Hatherley, Jenkins, it's always been kind of a joint PTO/CPC initiative. So it's because there isn't funding in our budget for playgrounds, unfortunately. So that's typically the best way and the best use of the funds that we have, because CPC is, as we all know, a different tax on us. So it's great to utilize those funds for the projects.
Okay.
And I think that information was shared previously, because I believe, and Angela, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought Craig did go in front of CPC requesting funds and probably was told the same thing, that a plan needed to come back before them. But I may be wrong.
Yeah, I don't recall that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Continuing on. I know there's been some vacations. It's still on the docket, I think, Bob, for you and I to try to get a meeting booked with Erica to talk about some of the social services observations, right?
Right. And yeah, she was on vacation, as was I last week. Maybe we can connect sometime next week.
Yeah, I personally can do. I can do Monday and Tuesday. Then I'm out from Wednesday on, but I can do Monday. I can do Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm planning on scheduling a meeting with her next week, so I'll check in with her and figure out a time, and I'll let you know. So maybe the three of us can talk.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. So Christina, you had a suggestion. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Sounds good. I can't remember if it was the last time we met in May or if it was in April, but when we were talking about the needs assessment form that was on the town website. When I looked at it, I saw that it just was sort of like on the sidebar, it didn't have its own page. So when you just click on it, it just brings you to the form itself. So my suggestion would be to maybe have an actual landing page that explains like what the form does, you know, what it's used for, how they'd be, you know, get in contact with if they filled out the form. Just because there was no information about it, it was just like, this is the form and here it is, fill it out. So I just thought maybe it might be beneficial for the town and like the residents to have some information about it so that people are maybe more inclined to be able to think, yeah, I would really greatly benefit from that as long as they would know what it does. Because I just clicked on it and I was like, well, it's just taking me right to the form. How would somebody know what it
Right.
is?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if that was a suggestion that we could make at all. So yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, I think it comes back to, I think it's a great suggestion. We need to make sure that it's utilized. So let's say that, like, I think we were, you know, unfortunately, we were kind of laughing about the fact that I think, Bob, you found out that like 14 people have filled it out, right, in the town. So
Yeah.
if we got that up to 4,000, that's fantastic, but how does it get used? Is that, it would have to be something that, okay, somebody calls 911 or what have you, and one of the first steps in responding to the 911 call is to pull up the household. If it's not part of their procedure, then what are we doing?
Can you tell me where this needs assessment form is?
Yeah.
I'm on the site, if you can just, are you on social services?
Is somebody up there?
Hmm?
Talking to myself.
Oh, okay.
Hold on, I didn't have it up.
I remember having to Google it because I just couldn't find it on the website at all. And maybe under emergency preparedness, let's see.
I've been on it a bunch of times just looking at it, but
All right, no worries. I just wanted to follow your train of conversation and see how we could fix this.
I just put it in the chat, Maura. I just Googled it and it came up. It's under emergency preparedness.
Emergency management, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can see if I can get more information on exactly how it's utilized and incorporated into what the emergency responders are doing. The other thing is what questions are asked, and you know, it was minimal. I think there couldn't have been more than maybe 12 or 15 questions, and whether or not there's additional information that would be helpful to them and potentially others. So I can have I think it's one of the I think it's through the fire department is actually kind of are the ones who initiated that. So maybe I can try to get some more information and bring it back to our next meeting and exactly how it's utilized and how it's advertised, and we can sort of go from there.
It could also be
thought
from the Commission on Disabilities as well, that works with the fire department a lot to understand what types of, you know, evacuation needs they may need.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to look through too. Okay.
I thought it went I thought it went several pages deep. No? It's definitely
I just remember there weren't that many questions. I don't know if you remember, Christina, if you had gone through it.
Let me take a look. I didn't think it was that long.
You know, it's just asking for the name, physical address, contact information, emergency contact. whether you're a seasonal or year-round resident and the type of residence. Maybe if you click "I'm not a robot" and continue, it brings you more questions, but that's
Yeah.
all I have right now.
Yeah,
If you, I think, you know, if you have mobility issues and things like that, but beyond that, I'm not sure how many questions they ask, but I can get more information from fire and get a sense of kind of how it's been utilized and whether or not, I mean, maybe they're considering enhancing it more, so.
Thank you, Bob.
there are several pages. Because the next page is whether you live alone or with a caregiver in a group home, language, allergies, evacuation, sensory issues, mobility. You can write something else, then there's a page 3. And then it continues. So I think it's a little more robust than
Okay.
we thought. So. Okay. All right. Does anyone have other updates with regards to some of the other focused departments, Scituate Police, DPW, etc.?
Well, Elena is going to, Elena and I connected, and she's kind enough to go over the notes that Ruth had put together for our very long meeting that we had with the Scituate Police. So she's going to take that and put it in the format that she created for the departments. So I'm happy to have her assistance in that because it's a really busy time right now.
Happy to help.
Okay.
And I'm sure we're gonna get to this, but do we have a target date for when we wanted all of these presentations somewhat finalized? I told Angela I would get her something to look at by the end of this week, but if we're not trying to get anything finalized for another month, I might give myself more time.
Yeah, we don't have a date right now. So the last meeting, Maura, we probably talked about it the last couple meetings, to be honest. We do have Elena put together a template. We have, you know, some information in there around, you know, more of a status update, as well as a slightly deeper dive on the 3 kind of initial focus areas, which were Scituate Police being 1. This is not in prioritization, but Scituate Police being 1, DPW being 2, and then the 3rd being combination of Board of Health, social services, and so on. And we all agreed that we needed to circle back with those departments and, you know, not to necessarily give them a preview of what we are potentially going to recommend or provide a status on, but just to reacquaint ourselves, because a lot of the information that we had when we first started this committee and we were gangbusters on putting together questions and the questionnaire and meetings and so forth. It could, I'm sure it's still, you know, very accurate and telling and so forth, but it's a little stale.
That sounds great. Did you want to look for mid-July or September to get on one of those agendas? Like, when do you think you'll be ready?
I think we should just put a date out there because that'll force us to get ready.
Yeah, so I don't want to do that to you because you're the ones that are doing all the hard work.
Do you guys agree with me?
Yeah, I personally feel like, I know it's a crunch, but I would aim for July because Maura said at the beginning, they're in the budgeting process for next fiscal year. And we've talked about some recommendations, especially the communications piece and how there's funding for some communications work. Like, let's do it now.
I would want you to be my boss, Celia. No, I'm just kidding.
So can we try for late July so we can have one more meeting? We're scheduled for July 18th for this committee.
Oh, that's what I was looking at. Okay, 1 minute. Let me get my committee meetings. Sorry. I apologize.
That way we can have the run up to this next meeting. We can finalize as a group, kind of approve what the slides are going to look like, who's going to get in front of the select board, who's going to speak, all that stuff.
So maybe
So are you looking for the,
So we
July.
have, I'm sorry, so the 25th. So you might want to shoot for July 25th. That's the meeting after the 18th, which is your meeting. So you have another time to review. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah, I think so.
And how long do you think you'll need?
20 minutes, probably.
30 minutes, 20 minutes?
20.
20? All right, I'll send that to Lorraine, and then you would probably want to have your backup ready by the 20th when she posts. So she can
Right.
share whatever backup you'll have, so the board can preview it before you present it on the 25th.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I know her deadline's pretty well at this point, so. that's
Yeah.
no problem.
Sufficient.
She's
All right,
on
so
it.
I'll put that request in now.
Thank you. All right, cool. All right. What else? I'm kind of to the end of what I had written down. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to discuss?
well, I want to invite everyone to the Sister City Cape Verde first annual Cape Verde Independence Day celebration. Cape Verde Independence Day is July 5th, but we are celebrating it Friday, July 7th at the community building. We will have traditional Cape Verdean food. We have a band. We have some guests. It looks like we may have, and fingers still crossed, we may have the mayor of Santa Catarina de Fogo here to sign the friendship pack with the select board. And we definitely have the consulate and minister of communities. And I will tell you, I was a little scared reading the emails because they're in English and in Portuguese. And I was asked by the consulate to invite Senor, this gentleman, and he said he was the minister of communities. Well, I copied it, I put it in Google, and the first thing came up was the prime minister. So I was a little nervous that we were going to have the prime minister, and we're not quite ready for him yet. And then I checked my Portuguese again, and it was the minister of communities. So we're really excited. And like I said, this is the first annual. So as far as the sister committee, our community events, this is the 48th anniversary of the independence of Cabo Verde from Portugal. So very young independent nation. In 2 years, it'll be the 50th anniversary. So we hope to make that a really, big celebration. Hopefully, we get the Ernestina close to Scituate, if not in Scituate Harbor. But you are all invited July 7th if you're in town. I know it's busy, people are on vacation and have other, but if you're here, stop by.
Where is it going to be?
At the Harbor Community, the old Pier 44.
And
Yeah.
what
Community
time?
Center.
What time?
6 p.m., 6 to 10 p.m.
On the 7th, right, Angela?
on the 7th. Yes, July 7th.
My whole, I've been out of town. It's killing me.
Well, that's fantastic. That'll be great. Hopefully we have a good showing. Yeah, it is. Summer is tough, but I think I'm around. It's walking distance for me, so.
Yes.
We're over there. All right, that's fantastic. All right.
Should we go back? Sorry, Tom, should we go back to just make sure we're all aligned on what we want to talk about at our next meeting for the select board meeting?
Yeah, we've got our work cut out.
Well, I can share my screen if you want on like.
Yeah,
the
go for it.
Okay, and sorry to like project manage this, but I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. So this was the template. I think we've all looked at this potentially in another meeting. So this was, and I guess actually, Maura, you might not have seen this, and so maybe your feedback here would be either here or like in an email or something, just to make sure that we're going to present something that you think would be impactful. So kind of the crosstown department findings. This would be a high level takeaways on like any consistent themes that we've seen across the three focused town departments. Because I think in our discussions, we are finding that there are some trends across the various departments. So the thought was pulling all those up at the top. And then the idea is to go by department or by these three departments. So the Scituate Police Department, the DPW, and then I believe this is kind of the word is not coming to mind. A hodgepodge is the word in my mind, but that's not the professional word. Just the social services tax. What?
Amalgamation.
Yeah. But basically for each of the departments, it would be what are the key takeaways from the conversations that we had? What are the positive kind of highlights of the work that these departments already do as it relates to DEI, and then opportunities or recommendations, right, for further DEI work, kind of more of the discussion points for next steps. So yes, so this is, I think, very much obviously a rough draft is what you're seeing right now, but I think this is what we want to work through between now and in our next meeting. That way, maybe on the 18th, we can have a more solidified rough draft to kind of run through before we have to send it over to Lorraine ahead of the select board meeting. Is that making sense to everyone on the committee?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I think, and I forget, I'm just kind of thinking out loud, whether it's crosstown department findings, you know, the things where we found consistency, or whether we create a couple of additional slides just on, like, a lot of what we've talked about for the better part of a year now has been, I think, what we call the equitable communications, right? There's been just a lot of areas there, and we've already accomplished a few things, right? Just Google Translate, that was probably my favorite one, because we recommended it and did it during the meeting, right?
Yeah.
So
Remember when I was pitching?
word just magic, and boom, you know.
I think it's, just before I lose my thought, Tom, I think it's
Yeah.
really timely, because one of the budgetary additions that the select board requested in the past fiscal budget that we just approved was an improved communication system. So if that's something that still keeps bubbling up across all departments, I would highlight that, because that will really tie in with an initiative that is top of mind for the board as well, for Jim and the rest of the administration to work on. So really, really nice alignment in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it makes so much sense. And I know if we look back through our various meeting minutes and whatnot, there's a lot of good recommendations that we've discussed, you know, in this meeting. And some of which are frankly already out there that people in town just don't know how to take advantage of. There's a lot of really good services that, I mean, unless you're involved in a committee like this, you just don't know about. I'm sure there's still people that do not get the town emails, although there's a healthy dose of households that do. But there's a lot of people that are just in the dark. I mean, you talk to people around town, they just don't know certain things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
I think
well,
as part of that communication, maybe we can figure out some way to kind of advocate for some form of a town paper again, because I think that's been a huge lack in communication for people. I hear that repeatedly in my job. So, I mean, I know that's not a town decision, obviously, to get rid of it. That was a different entity, but I think given the fact that that paper has gone, the Scituate Mariner has gone away, maybe the town needs to step into other ways of that kind of communication. I know I greatly miss it, and I hear a lot of people say the same, and I think there's a lack of general information about what's going on all levels in town without that resource anymore. So.
Yep. Okay. Great.
And maybe Tom too, at our next meeting, like this is the presentation that, I mean, there's a lot of text and we have 20 minutes. So if we could go through like, this is what we're sending for context and for the select board to read, but who's presenting and what are the key points we want to make in that 20 minutes? Because we need to allow for obviously some questions and discussion and things like that. So I don't know if we also want like a separate like talking points doc going too.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense.
And we can,
We're not gonna want to get in there and spend 3 to 4 minutes a slide, right? Which is like kind of like my rule of thumb at my job. We're gonna have to, you know, steamroll through some of this stuff and really just highlight, or as you mentioned, we could, you know, give them a longer copy and say, this is what we're going to cover. So 2 decks. It's always easier to skinny it back than beef it up, right? So. Celia, maybe I'll have a conversation with you offline, Celia and Elena. Maybe the 3 of us can talk and we can brainstorm how we want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna help Angela put the content together for the police department anyway, and obviously I'd buy her first, but like I was gonna pull that together anyway. And then I think Tom, I forget who else you're working on these, I think you're working with, I don't know, Bob, maybe everyone else.
Bob, Kate, and I think Natasha.
Okay. And then I think for the equitable communications, we don't have a slide in here for all of that work, conversations, et cetera, but we can very easily make one. And I can do that. I guess it wasn't in here because we thought this is at first when we started talking about this presentation, it was just going to be more about like department updates, and the communication stuff is not really about a department. It's just like observations we've all had. So maybe this is just like a DEI status update for the select board, department findings,
Agreed.
communication project update, and anything else we want to include here.
I totally agree. We can just change the title. I mean,
Yeah.
I certainly don't want to skip the communication piece because I think that's arguably the single biggest finding that we've had over the past X number of months.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
I'm good with that. All right, great. Thanks for bringing that stuff back up. I appreciate it. Does anyone have anything else? All right. We've got our work cut out for us, but it'll be fun. We'll have a lot to report on, Maura, hopefully on July 25th. So with that, I think we're good. I'd like to call for the meeting to be adjourned. Do I have a second?
A second.
Thanks, Angela. Okay, calling the roll. Reverend Stewart,
Yes.
Ms. Dre,
Yes.
Ms. Gilberti,
Yes.
Ms. Risha,
Yes.
Ms. Gulata,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. It is 7:33 p.m. and the meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everyone.